What's up, the chief here? So you want to become a police officer? You go to school, you do all your studies, you pass the entrance exam, you pass the orals, you pass the polygraph, you pass the psychological, and then what happens? You fail the power test. The test, the physical agility test prior to going into the academy. Do you overlook it? Do you just think that you're physically fit? Do you think you're prepared? Or you go in there, you know what, and doing it wrong? So we're going to go over two different ones, one out of Illinois and one out of New York. And pretty much they're all standard. They're all pretty much going to do something with their upper body, something with the abs, and every single one of them is going to have a 1.5 mile run. So if anything you need to work on is going to be your 1.5 mile run. That's probably the one I've seen people fail all the time. Push-ups is probably second and the bench press, but the run is one of the most. It's a 1.5 mile run. So let's take a look at Illinois, and we'll go through it as the video plays. So the sit and reach test. Pretty standard.
The sit and reach test is a measure of the flexibility of the lower back and upper leg area. It is an important area for performing police tasks involving range of motion and is also important in minimizing lower back problems. The test involves stretching out to touch the toes or beyond with extended arms from the sitting position. The score is in the inches reached on the sit and reach apparatus.
So on the sit and reach test, like everything, you're going to be given everything, all the what you have to meet prior to. So you'll have, if you're within a certain age, you'll be given, hey, you have to reach 16 inches or whatever the case may be. So you'll be given all that prior. Sit and reach, pretty much self-explanatory. It's easy to prep for every single day, just in bed. Go ahead and start reaching your toes. Stand up, reach for your toes. Very rarely do I see people pass this, and I've attended many power tests. So next one, 1 minute sit-up test. I've seen a lot of people fail this.
Test is a measure of the muscular.
This test is pretty much self-explanatory, but the main thing that people fail on this test is they don't do them correctly. You may be at home doing them correctly every single day, but then you get here and they're going to require you to do some stuff. So make sure you listen. With Illinois, they just require you to have your elbows past your knees. So you could also touch your knees as well with your elbows. So pretty self-explanatory, but make sure you listen, because if you arch your back, if you don't interlock your fingers, they're going to tell you all that. So let's take a look at it. Pretty self-explanatory.
Endurance of the abdominal muscles. It is an important area for performing police tasks that may involve the use of force, and is also an important area for maintaining good posture and minimizing lower back problems. The score is the number of bent leg sit-ups performed in 1 minute.
So with the sit-up, whoever is administering a test to you, he will tell you if you do it right or not. So he may say fail, whatever he says. All right, so just make sure you count, because sometimes they'll count, sometimes you will count. So if it's 20 or 25 you need to do, make sure you count and keep it in tune with the instructor, because if you have to do 25 and you only do 24, you fail. You cannot move forward when you test. That is the one thing with this test. If you may get to the end, fail one test, you fail it all. You can't redo it. So you have to probably reschedule it. They're not going to wait around for you to do it over. Most of the time you have to reschedule. Now the maximum bench press. This is going to be the maximum amount of weight based off your percentage. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you're within a certain range, you may have to do 90% of your max bench. Some departments will replace this with push-ups. Illinois uses the bench press. Self-explanatory, but you have to listen. Make sure you do it the way they require you to do it. So let's get past that real basic. 1.5 mile, standard across the board. It's easy to do. You just have to train for it. You need to get off the couch, go to the gym, get on the treadmill, go out, do some running outside. Running on the treadmill over and over. Remember, it's a lot different than running on solid ground. So before you go take this test, you may say, hey, I could do 2 or 3 miles on a treadmill, but then you get outside and you can only do 1 mile. So just remember, if you're doing the test on a treadmill, which I don't require you to do, make sure you do the test outside, because I've seen a lot of people, they show up and say, yeah, I do it on the treadmill all the time. 1.5 miles. I do it in less the time every single time. And then they get out there, and because of the weather, a lot of times you'll do them outside. So, the cold weather, that's going to infect your inside. Hot weather, you're not going to be in a controlled environment. So make sure you do it outside. If you know it's going to be hot that week, or during that time, that climate is certain during that time, do it outside. Now, let's take a look at New York's.
The sit-up measures the muscular endurance of the abdominal muscles.
Pretty
Lie on
much
your
standard.
back with your knees bent at a 90-degree angle and your heels on the mat or floor.
Now listen.
Your feet may be together or apart, but your
If you
heels
don't do
must
any of
stay in
them,
contact
you will
with the
fail.
mat or floor. Another person may hold them for you by kneeling on them and or holding them with their hands. Your fingers must stay interlocked behind your head
See?
throughout the event. When
If
told
they are
to
not,
go, begin by lifting your
they will
upper
not
body
count
by
that sit-up.
bending at the waist. Touch your elbows to your knees and return to the...
So you see on New York's, they're actually saying that, hey, you must touch your elbows to your knees. Where on Illinois, they're just requiring you to either your elbows touch your knees or go past your knees.
starting position. When returning to the starting position, your shoulder blades must touch the mat. Do not arch your back or lift your hips from the mat.
And that's pretty much standard across the board with all sit-ups. They don't want your back to arch. They're requiring your fingers to interlock in the back. Just because Illinois didn't say that, they do require that also. So just make sure
If
you
you
listen.
fail to keep your fingers
And
interlocked behind
pay
your head,
attention to the
touch
count.
your elbows to your knees.
So
or
that's
if
pretty
you
standard
fall
with New
or lift
York's.
your hips, you
Make
will
sure you do
receive
not
a
do
warning.
that.
After this warning, only correct. You will have 1 minute. An instruction.
All right.
The push-up.
So with New York, they actually replaced the bench press with the push-up. Again, make sure you listen, because sometimes they're using a cone here, a foam cone that you need to touch. But you may hit in that cone, but your back might be arched. So listen
Measures
up.
the muscular endurance of the upper body.
Now, prepping for this, do it on your knees. If you've never done push-up before, which hopefully you have, start on your knees. Start off slow. Do a couple a day. Don't start doing this a week before your power test, because you're not going to pass. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be, you're already going to be worked up going into this. So you want to go into already with a mindset of, hey, you know what? I'm going to pass. Start doing them on your knees. Do as many as you can. Then transition from your knees, then to a full push-up, and do them right. Go on YouTube, watch them. Watch this video. This perfect
Chest,
example
shoulders,
how to do a
and
push-up.
triceps. Place your hands on the ground approximately shoulder width apart. Your feet may be together or up to 12 inches apart. Your body should be in a straight line from the shoulders to the ankles and must remain that way throughout the exercise. When told to go, begin by lowering your body by bending your elbows until the upper part of your sternum hits the 4-inch.
So let me give you a little tip, all right? You may think you're doing the push-up right. Have someone film you. Do a couple. See, look at your posture. Look at your form. If you're not doing it right, correct that, because you do not want to go into this failing this. Because if this is the first test you're given and you fail it, you cannot move forward. And then also, if this is the last test, just imagine passing everything else and then you fail because you don't do them
For
properly.
females, this means the area of your sternum above. You may and must keep your body in a
pretty
straight.
self-explanatory.
If you keep your body in a, you will receive counted. The 1.5-mile run.
1.5 mile run. I mean, self-explanatory. You need to get off the couch. You need to get out and run. Just like I was saying, if you do it on the treadmill, make sure you do it outside. But the easiest way to pass this test is just to go out and run. Time yourself. Run with a buddy. Run with somebody. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. 1.5 miles. So I hope I set you guys up on the right track to pass the power test. I hope if you guys need any assistance, post some comments down below. I can help you guys out with with some tips and tricks that I do. I perform these all the time. So don't forget to subscribe and like. God bless and stay safe, people.